My name is Vivek. I'm the founder and CEO at Sukham, as Cheryl is already introduced. And I didn't want to keep a presentation for this slide for this particular session because I wanted you guys to first try and get the one thing correct, and that is not the statistics or the data, but that is the storytelling when you are ever going to apply for any of the TV shows or any, if, for that matter, any cohort as well. So, uh, just to begin, I'd like to first tell you a bit about my journey of Shark Tank and how it was, revolutionary for both me and Shark Tank as well. Uh, so I run a men's sexual wellness brand, and when I say a men's sexual wellness brand, it's predominantly in the space of Ayurveda, helping men deal with the problems that they don't have, a lot of information about, and also don't have an access when it comes to the right doctors. So my first statement whenever I used to start my pitch was, if I ask all the men in the room about who their doctor is when it comes to their sexual health issue, they won't even know. uh, and that's what the case was. Most of the people didn't know what or who their doctor was when they are facing any such issue. And because of this gap in the huge gap in the sector, and obviously because of not a lot of brands being in the sector, a huge white space, we started. But uh, as most of the entrepreneurs, when you start, you don't exactly know the market till you deep dive into it. You might have a thesis around it, you might know a lot of numbers, a lot of data, but in my case, all those numbers were very difficult to track, as we didn't have a standard data set for the market, as well as for the overall usage gap and the overall consumer base. So it was very difficult for us to kind of estimate ki exactly market size kya hai, and how to crack it. So this is where the story begins. I start my startup. I applied to my first cohort, which is again national, which was the 100x cohort, where you have to go through an application process. And what I realized was that if you're building in the sector which is like my sector, right, which is very uh, difficult to gauge in terms of market size, which is very difficult to gauge in terms of presence, it actually does not depend a lot on the sector or on the data that you're giving about the sector. What actually depends is on the founder's conviction and the story that you guys have. And by story, most of the people think that a story is usually a lie. A story is usually something where you are just putting out pieces of information which make you look good. But in true sense, a story is the honest and transparent truth of what you're battling and what you're building in, and putting it out in terms of content, and putting it out in terms of questions in the market, which you want your customers to engage with and answer. So with Shark Tank, we were the first brand that got nationally broadcasted on TV. Before that, there were no sexual wellness brands that had been broadcasted in India before, and it took us 5 times uh, after clearing every compliance to get broadcasted. We got the dates 4 times prior to the final date of broadcast, and each and every time the broadcast used to get cancelled because according to the channels, this so-called lies in the SNP, which is sex and pornography category, and they never allowed us to kind of be broadcasted. But and I was constantly fighting with Sony, and we were going back and forth with the Shark Tank team, and the only method and the only thing that helped us in getting broadcasted here as well was the storytelling, right? So just to give you an example, in our pitch we were talking about how sex is considered as a taboo, but with the reference of cricket. and back then Cricket World Cup was about to start. So we called men as batsmen, and people who have sexual disorders like premature ejaculation as T20 players, and we promised to make those T20 players test players and all of that, and made it very quirky. And we did very well in getting our pitch broadcasted as well, because we were not direct about what we were trying to say, and we kind of managed to make a story and a communication where it cannot be outrightly banned also, because we were not saying anything at the face of it. So I'm just trying to give you an example of how storytelling helps, and how storytelling basically helps you go beyond these challenges and beyond all the problems that you face while you are doing such you know uh, TV shows, or you're applying for such things. And just to break this down, I would like to uh, divide the rest of the session into a few sections. And the first section that I want to focus on is the objective of the startup. So everyone starts up with a certain objective, right? For all the people who are here right now, I would love for you to just write a 5 word sentence on what exactly is the objective of why you started on the in the comment section, if you can. uh, so so that I have an idea of what is the kind of audience that I'm catering to right now. But predominantly the objective is the one thing that sets the orientation of the startup and the story. So for us, the objective was to do a lot of things in men's sexual wellness. One of the objectives was to make sure that men talk about such issues. The other objective was that we wanted the men to also have access to experts. The third objective was we wanted to, save men from the frauds that are currently happening in the market due to such a big taboo. And people are being fooled in the tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities, only in the name of uh, promises, and by giving big claims. We wanted to protect them from that as well. And so we had multiple objectives. But when you start a startup, you have to have a very clear and precise objective of what you want to position as in front of your consumers. And once we put it out, once we started that particular objective, started to discover that particular objective that we want to put out, once we started the whole journey, we realized that we should break it into 4 different parts. And all the people who are here right now, I would like you to note this down. These 4 things that I always say will help you define your objective and your communication very clearly. The first is the attention, which I call the A. So I call it the ABCD of defining a pitch, right? Of defining the objective of the pitch. And because this objective sets, as I said earlier, sets the orientation. So the ABCD, the first is attention. So attention means your hook has to be very relevant to what you do. Uh, if you're selling anything, so for example, someone wrote here education service to high school students, right? So here the objective is very clear as per the entrepreneur, that the service is for high school students, and it's in the sector of the it's in the education sector. But as a consumer, if I want you to tell one uh, thing about your startup which any layman would understand, it cannot be this vague. So it should have the right hook to it. So let's say if education service to high school students is the objective of a particular startup, then the hook has to be very, very strong, right? uh, and very, very idiot proof as well. As we all know that attention span has gone really less, and even on social media and even on LinkedIn, we only engage with the things in which the first 3 to 4 words, which is the predominant hook of the particular post or reel, is engaging enough. So the hook has to once serve to the cause, also has to be, as I said, very clear and very precise for the consumer to understand. The second is brand. I think a hook without a brand is very, very vague. So my hook is Sukham from the land of Kama Sutra, right? We are in the middle of a pivot right now. We are also doing other things. But when I say Sukham from the land of Kama Sutra, Kama Sutra becomes my hook. Sukham becomes my brand. I never say my hook without my brand. So mango, fruity, fresh and juicy, right? The legacy brands have killed it here. Obviously, they have big advertising companies to write to copyright for them and do all these things for them. But even us as entrepreneurs, we can do all of that because we are doing what big institutions are doing with big teams. We have that capability. We have that onus to do it, right? So, Dr. Domendra here says empowering hormonal health. Uh, I know his brand personally. So if I was you, Domendra, I would have said Vedartava, empowering hormonal health for women, right? So I would never miss out on putting my brand in the hook. Now, the hook is not the tagline because the hook is what your customers will identify as, right? What your customer will know you as. So when I went to Shark Tank, the I wanted to be very clear to my consumers that what I do is something that you will not hear everyone talking about every day. So the A and B, the attention and the brand, I kept it very, very, out there. My thing was from the land of Kama Sutra, and Sukham was there on our t-shirts. If you see our t-shirts on the Shark Tank episode, there was one Sukham, and then there was the land of Kama Sutra. I put it out there because I wanted to the consumers to remember, and I cannot tell you, even till today when I go for any event and I'm not wearing that t-shirt, people are like, Vivek, why are you without your superhero costume, right? So it has become kind of symbolic for us. The third is conviction. If you can put your conviction in your hook, then it can actually create wonders. So again, Sachin here has said farmers empowerment via digital tools, right? Empowerment is the conviction, right? uh, the consumer is right there, which is the farmer in the hook only. But again, if I want to put it out there, I would not use a vague word, and I would rather use uh, like an outcome and not a benefit. See, what happens is whenever we as entrepreneurs think of stories, because we build products, we are very feature and benefit oriented. But if I am putting something out there, and if I have to connect to the consumer right away, I would rather talk about the outcome than the uh, benefit, right? Or the feature. There was this beautiful campaign by PNG where it said, for Pantene, where it said, hair so healthy it shines. It's one of the best, you know, examples of a good ABC. See, I am again trying to give you one example each of A, B, C, D, and then cumulatively, right? So for A and B, the best is mango, fruity, fresh, and juicy. You might as well only do these two. Then for some brands where a third layer is required, you might do ABC, which is attention, brand, and conviction. So here, hair so healthy it shines. It shows the outcome. It shows what the product is about, and it shows the conviction that the brand has that it will make it shiny. So, and shiny because it's healthy, so it has all the rebuttals that a consumer can think of when it comes to a product. The hook is very strong, right? And then there is a hook with direction, right? Which is the D, and direction is the call to action. These are predominantly, start used by startups that are in the technical sector, where they have to tell their uh, you know products feature, outcome, benefit, as well as the direction that the consumer has to take. So we also as founders have a problem of complicating our product so much, because we enjoy it, because as founders we are problem solvers. We love to create our own problems and then complicate it. But then the complication cannot be the same for the consumer, because the consumer is looking for a solution, and he or she wants it to be as simple as it can, right? So if you combine all of these four, A, B, C, D together, the right attention, which is the hook, the brand integration, the right conviction, and the right call to action, your first part of the story is done. You will have an amazing opening with the right objective. You will be able to tell the consumer exactly of what you want to achieve at the beginning of the pitch, right? So the first part, objective, I think it's clear with all of us. If you guys could just shoot a yes, or if there is any question till now, I'll be more than happy, because I want it to be interactive. So if there is a question right away, I'd like to answer it right away and then move on to the other. So the first part, objective. Objective is to identify the Objective is to make your consumer identify you as a brand and what value you're going to add without you telling about your startup in totality. And it can be done through the ABCD method, in which the hook, the brand, the conviction, and the direction, which is the call to action, is very clear to the consumer within a certain framework, and it has to be super precise and super uh, focused. So is it clear, everyone? If you guys can just say a yes in the comment section. Are you guys there? Okay, so there is a question that Cheryl has said, that how is storytelling for TV different than that of investors? See, for some, that's a very good question. Honestly, for me, I don't think storytelling has to be different. The tonality might change. It might become more dramatic, which the TV will eventually make you, or it might create a different sort of a sort of a montage, or a facade by adding drama to it. But storytelling is storytelling, right? Now let's talk objective. I'm only talking about one part of storytelling right now, which is the objective, which is the orientation from where which you go to the premise. Now, if the objective is you know sexual health for men, let's say, but of Sukham, what change will I do for an investor or for a TV? I can dramatize it. I can, as I said, put on a facade with better words, better uh, uh, things to say, better examples and references. But at the end of the day, the crux remains the same. What and I'm very glad, Cheryl, that you asked this question, because one big problem that I see with a lot of entrepreneurs is that they want to play to the audience, they want to change the story to the audience. I take a lot of classes I take a lot of classes in IITs, IIMs, for students, some sessions like these with entrepreneurs. And I have been with a lot of entrepreneurs who've mentored me as well. The one thing that I've seen in people who are clear with their communication, right, is that they don't change their communication. They don't play to the audience when it comes to their startup, because your startup can only do one thing, right? Your startup can only do serve to one objective, and cannot do different for every other consumer. It might have different benefits for every consumer set, which can have a different orientation, or a different storytelling to it, but the objective cannot be different. So if, like, for example, Khushi here says empowering through creativity. If someone wants to empower through creativity, however, this, again, as I said, according to the ABCD framework, this has to be more fine tuned. But if I am empowering through creativity, let's say, if I am helping people find their creative selves through some tool of mine, it cannot change for a TV or versus an investor. Because what my thesis is, whether you are talking to an investor or whether you're talking to a shark on Shark Tank, the larger objective is you're talking to your consumer, right? One of my very good friends, Culture Circle, he did very good on post Shark Tank. He's into sneakers and all of that, and I'm a big sneakerhead myself. I talked to him and he told me about everything he does, and he has a very good tech, and he has very obviously he's selling the Nike Jordans of the world, so the product market fit is not a problem. And it was a very well chiseled pitch. And the one thing he asked me is that, what do you think I should portray? And my answer to him was, whatever you think is relevant for your consumer. You know what I think when I'm pitching about Sukham? uh, Most of the times I know that the investor will not say yes because of the sector being so taboo. But in my mind, what's going on is, even if he says no, at least I'll convert a customer. So your whole orientation has to be customer oriented. It should not play to the audience. The only audience at the end of the day is your customer. They are giving, the investor might give you some cash to scale your business or to start your business, but to sustain your business, your main cash is coming from your customer. So no matter if you're pitching to an investor in in a room in one on one, and then no matter if it's doing it with let's say a consumer, or a TV judge, or anyone, or let's say a panel of judges, your orientation has to be through your consumers. Because in Shark Tank also, I was not talking to those four people out there. Honestly, those aren't even sharks for me. Those are angel investors who give checks to the sizes of 15-20 lakh rupees, and I had already done my angel round. I was talking to the consumers, and my consumers listened to me. I grew at a 300% after Shark Tank. We became a national. We were trending on Instagram. We were trending on Twitter. Namita called me R Madhavan. That was covered by 18 news channels, right? So at the end of the day, whatever I did helped me crack my customer. So I think we should always stick to the storytelling part with the objective of going out to the customer. And the objective of the startup also has to be in such a way that the customer understands it the best. Now there are a few questions that have come. I would want to answer those. Hey Vivek, in a layman's language, could you be more specific and practical about storytelling? Let me take an example here of our brand Alora, a woman's ethnic wear brand. Now again, amazing, Savan, you've just now uh, validated everything I said. Alora, a women's ethnic wear brand. It's very clear of what you do. We know your brand, we know your customers, we know your objective. And now if I have to make a story out of it, right, I can have multiple angles to it, which I will come to that. Whether the story should have more of data, more of emotions, more of the founder, more of the consumer, I'll come to all of that. But the objective part of it, Savan, I'm very glad that at least one guy understood and wrote the right thing. You have to, at the end of the day, talk about the product and the objective and the hook and everything in a small, precise manner, as you rightly did. Alora, a women's ethnic wear brand. Now, most of the people also think that what is the differentiator here? इसके brand में तो Alora women's ethnic wear brand है. Layman terms में बात कर रहा हूँ. लोग बोलेंगे इसमें कोई differentiator नहीं है. मैं ये बोलता हूँ क्यों differentiate करना है. भाई अगर तुम अच्छा विमेन्स एथनिक वेयर ब्रांड बनाते हो और तुमने ब्रांड का नाम अलोरा रखा है, जिसकी ऑलरेडी कोई स्टोरी आई एम वेरी श्योर होगी, जिसपे हम आगे डिस्कस कर सकते हैं, तो क्यों बात करनी है हमको इससे ज्यादा? क्यों हमको इसको कॉम्प्लिकेट कर देना है? और कई सारे लोगों को मैं देखता हूँ बज़वर्ड्स डाल देंगे, राइट, एआई डाल देंगे, मशीन लर्निंग डाल देंगे, कस्टमाइजेशन डाल देंगे, अलग अलग वर्ड्स डाल देंगे जस्ट टू मेक इट मोर अट्रैक्टिव. यू आर नॉट मेकिंग इट मोर अट्रैक्टिव, यू आर मेकिंग इट मोर कॉम्प्लिकेटेड फॉर द कंज्यूमर. बिकॉज कई बार ना हम जो बोलते हैं और वो जो सुनते हैं उसके बीच में बहुत बड़ा गैप होता है. सो इफ आई से आई हैव अ ब्रांड दैट helps men talk about their problem, people will think I'm a service brand. कि भाई सुखम कोई काउंसलर्स देता होगा जिससे वो लोग बात करते होंगे. बात, it's a part of my business, but it's not the whole of my business, right? I can highlight that when I'm going out to a customer for that particular objective. I can put it on one of my performance ads, but that cannot be a brand objective. That cannot be a brand statement. So we should, as a layman, think also of a layman while we're building a brand, Saban. And as you rightly said, Alora, a women's ethnic brand. This is the most idiot-proof, clear and precise objective given by anyone for an ethnic wear brand that I know of, right? So I think you're right there. अब इसके आगे stories को आगे कैसे build करनी, we'll talk about this, and I will give the call back every time to your brand only, Saban, because now people know what exactly you know do, and so that I'm able to also in this process frame a story right in front of you on how to build a story, because I want you guys to take value out of what I'm doing right now and not make it a session out of gyan. बाकी सावन अगर आपको अच्छा लगा तो आप बाद में मुझे इक्विटी दे सकते हो ठीक है. सो व्हाट मेक्स अ फाउंडर स्टोरी स्टिक ऑन टीवी? इज इट इमोशन, डेटा, पर्सनालिटी और समथिंग एल्स? नाउ हियर I'll come to this after the objective thing. uh, M-Tri Bags has said handwoven tribal art reimagined into modern bags and home decor. Okay, now again, amazing, but this can be shorter, this can be precise. ठीक है, handwoven tribal art reimagined into modern bags and home decor. See, sometimes what we do is we try to make it fancy. We don't have to make it fancy. We don't have to make it fancy always. This is a very good sector to be in right now because there is tribal art. Obviously, I'm sure you guys are must have been taking care of the sustainability part of it, right? Now, uh, what we're trying to do here is that we are trying to make it sound very niche by putting the words like reimagined and modern bags and home decor. uh, One of my new taglines, which I've not finalized right now, is uh, Ayurvedic wisdom backed by modern science. And I'm still not very convinced it did, because now we've gone into other categories also apart from sexual wellness. So from the land of Kama Sutra is not relevant for me anymore. But Ayurvedic wisdom backed by modern science is vague for me as such, right? So because it does not tell you what exactly Sukham does in terms of products. There is no thesis out there which basically shows this. But I always make sure that I keep it as simple as I can. And my thing for you also is that keep it as simple as you can. While this is very simple, hand woven treble art reimagined into modern bags and home decor, it can be better because people sometimes see when you're pushing or you're overselling, right? People sometimes can see through us founders as well. Trust me, like when we are making content, we are thinking like the brand owner, but what we've got to do is think actually like the layman, what Savan was talking about, right? Ki layman's language mein kya hoga. So someone has said shop serve makes formal wear for Indian women that actually fits Indian women. Again, this is also not bad, like this is very good. And we can do, like, I can obviously, you guys can shoot in me on my LinkedIn, DM your lines, and we can go through it and we can try to get to the right thing. But I think you get the gist of it. Now to go on to the second part. After objective, once we've established who we are, once we've given them the hook, the direction, uh, and direction here, just for your example, just for your clearance, clarity. I'm giving an example. Direction here is the call to action. Call to action is as simple as shop now, or one stop shop, GeoMart, a one stop store, a one stop shop, right? Like some things which are very call to action driven are directions, right? So the ABCD my direction is something which exactly when you're tactical or too vast or have a lot of features or benefits, you have to give your customer that one call to action that you want them to do. So that's direction, right? So uh, for a lot of brands, if you can see, the direction is right there in the communication or the tagline or the hook or the you know uh, one objective statement. So the tagline sometimes only talks about the call to action also, right? So we have to be when we have a lot of features, when we do a lot of things, very call to action driven. Hence direction is very important for people who have a vast service of offerings, right? Now let's talk about the second part after objective. I can see a lot of comments coming in with their taglines. Honestly guys, DM me, I'm always there, very accessible, if any founder needs help. But I'll have to move to the next thing as we have limitation of time as well. So the next thing is, after the objective is done, we go to the core elements of the story. तो अब ऑब्जेक्टिव से हमने स्टोरी का, हॉरर मूवी है ये बता दिया है, ठीक है? हॉरर मूवी है, नॉट सूटेबल फॉर किड्स, ये हमने बता दिया है, अब हमको प्रेमाइस बनाना है, तो प्रेमाइस में कोर एलिमेंट्स आते हैं, एंड दीज आर द कोर एलिमेंट्स दैट यू हैव टू टेक केयर ऑफ व्हेन यू आर ऑन टीवी वर्सेस एन इन्वेस्टर। यही वो फसाड है, यही वो वेरिएबल्स हैं जिसकी मैं बात कर रहा था। तो या तो इमोशन हो सकता है। अब इमोशन में भी दो, इमोशन ऑफ द फाउंडर या इमोशन दैट यू वांट टू इन्वोक इन द कंज्यूमर, और ये दोनों सेम भी हो सकते हैं। सो समटाइम्स माय वेरी गुड फ्रेंड प्रियाशा, she started her pitch cinnamon kitchen, if you all know, she was in my schedule only, and हमने उस like we were very open about our pitches with each other and we used to give feedback and all. मैं the one thing that I loved about her pitch was खाना बनाना, and खाना मेरी पूरी personality है, right? She started with the fact that food matters a lot to me, और मैं खाना बनाना और खाना इतना पसंद करती हूँ कि मैं उसे खाना छोड़ नहीं पाई, इसीलिए मुझे पीसीओडी पीसीओएस था, तो मैंने ऐसा खाना बनाया जो मुझको हेल्प करे इन माय लाइफ टू ऑल्सो इंडल्ज बट नॉट हार्म माई सेल्फ। शुरुआत उसने करी जहां से, वहां पे उसकी स्टोरी इंपॉर्टेंट थी, बट क्योंकि वो स्टोरी इतनी कॉमन है, और क्योंकि बहुत लड़कियां जिनको पीसीओडी पीसीओएस है, जो मैं जानता हूं, उनको ईटिंग डिसऑर्डर्स भी है, और उनको समटाइम्स डिसऑर्डर नहीं भी है तो उनको खाना पसंद है, वो रिलेट करेंगी उनसे, एंड इट बिकम्स अ शेयर्ड गोल ऑफ द टू इन द स्टोरी। तो कई बार फाउंडर की स्टोरी ऐसी होती है जो फाउंडर और कंज्यूमर को हो जाए, बट अगर मैं वहां जाके बोलता कि मेरे को सेक्सुअल वेलनेस डिसऑर्डर था या सेक्सुअल हेल्थ मेरी प्रॉब्लम थी, तो वो झूठ होता, क्योंकि थी नहीं, और झूठ बोल के अगर मैं स्टोरी बोलूंगा तो वो बिकेगी नहीं, राइट? तो कई बार आपकी स्टोरी जरूरी भी नहीं होती, कई बार जरूरी नहीं होता फाउंडर को रोना। बहुत सारी बार ऐसा हुआ है शार्क टैंक में, बस फाउंडर रो गया और बहुत बड़ी एग्जिट लेके गया आफ्टर द शो, राइट? तो वहां पे उसकी पर्सनल स्टोरी चल गई, पर्सनल स्टोरी से लोगों ने एम्पैथी दिया, लोगों ने कनेक्ट कर लिया। बट वन यूनिट और मेट्रिक दैट वी हैव टू लुक हियर इज अगेन अ पार्ट ऑफ द एबीसीडी, विच इज द कन्विक्शन। भाई तुम किस कन्विक्शन पे कनेक्ट करते हो लोगों के साथ, राइट? तो वो स्टोरी ज्यादा सेंस करेगा। दूसरा इज द ट्रूथ एंगल। भाई सच होना चाहिए उस स्टोरी में। प्रियाशा वाज सफरिंग फ्रॉम पीसीओडी पीसीओएस, शी इज एन अमेजिंग शेफ, शी नोज न्यूट्रिशन, तो उसने पीसीओडी पीसीओएस होने के बाद भी अच्छा खाना बनाया जिसकी न्यूट्रिशनल वैल्यू अच्छी है, ताकि वो इंडल्ज भी कर पाए और उसको प्रॉब्लम ना हो। तो उसने वो सारी चीजें करी इन ट्रू सेंस, झूठ नहीं बोला, और अपनी स्टोरी बताई, क्योंकि उसको अपनी स्टोरी लगी कि ज्यादा लोग रिलेट कर पाएंगे। विज़ कई बार आपको अपनी स्टोरी बिल्कुल नहीं बतानी, बोलना ही नहीं है, क्योंकि आपकी स्टोरी है नहीं, या वो सच में, या वो आपकी स्टोरी रिलेटेबल नहीं है, बट कंज्यूमर स्टोरी से आप बहुत ज्यादा इंपैक्ट क्रिएट कर सकते हो। सो माय फर्स्ट कैंपेन दैट बिकेम वायरल वाज two things that we did. One was we showed a पहलवान who cannot conceive a baby, right? And we said physical fitness और reproductive health same नहीं है, right? A very strong message, but मेरी नहीं थी, एक रैंडम पहलवान की थी, क्योंकि पहलवान एस्पिरेशन है फिटनेस का, और रिप्रोडक्टिव हेल्थ ना होना एक प्रॉब्लम है जिससे लोग रिलेट कर सकते हैं। आप समझ रहे हो? सो मेरे लिए कंज्यूमर स्टोरी मेक्स मोर सेंस। फिर मेरा दूसरा रील जो बहुत फेमस हुआ था, उसमें था वो मुझे इनो बुलाती थी क्योंकि 2 मिनट में खेल खत्म, काम खत्म, और समथिंग लाइक दैट, राइट? एंड बिकेम सुपर वायरल because it was funny, people related to it, people knew of Eno. So we sometimes used to put out stories where we didn't talk about us at all, and it worked for us because it was true, because it was either a truth or a true reflection of the society. तो फाउंडर की स्टोरी बनानी है या कंज्यूमर की स्टोरी बनानी है, वो डिपेंड करेगा दो चीजों पे, कन्विक्शन और ट्रूथ। और कन्विक्शन वही आएगा जहां पे सच हो। तो हमेशा मेक श्योर करना कि कन्विक्शन और ट्रूथ अगर आपका है तो कनेक्शन आप बिल्ड कर पाओगे। अब वो किससे करना है, वो अब बहुत सारे लोग बोलते हैं यार फाउंडर का होना बहुत जरूरी है। भाई HUL का फाउंडर कौन है? PNG का फाउंडर कौन है? कौन है पैंटीन का CEO? पता है अपने को? कौन है हार्पिक का CEO? नहीं पता भाई, बट हम लोग उस प्रोडक्ट से इतना कनेक्ट करते हैं कि हमें जरूरत ही नहीं है। उस प्रोडक्ट का यूज केस इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग है दैट वी डोंट नीड अ फाउंडर्स फेस। तो हमेशा फाउंडर कंटेंट भी नहीं चलेगा। अब यहाँ पे किसी बंदे ने डाला हुआ है गूगल मैप्स एक्सटेंशन विद सेंसर्स एंड ट्रांसपोर्टेशन। यहाँ पे फाउंडर आके क्या कर लेगा? अपनी अपनी फाउंडर गूगल मैप नहीं है, फाउंडर ट्रांसपोर्टर नहीं है, फाउंडर सेंसर का मैन्युफैक्चरर नहीं है, सबको स्टीव जॉब्स बनने की जरूरत नहीं है, राइट? सो समटाइम्स योर कंज्यूमर स्टोरी, समटाइम्स योर ब्रांड स्टोरी, समटाइम्स योर प्रोडक्ट benefit, but coded as outcome, as I said, will give you more traction. सो अब एक तो हो गया ये फाउंडर स्टोरी का. दूसरा आ जाता है डेटा. या डेटा तो हमेशा ही जरूरी है. इन माई पिच वन थिंग वेर इट वेंट रॉन्ग वाज दैट मेरे पास दैट मेन सेक्सुअल वेलनेस का डेटा नहीं है, और हम लोगों ने एक डेटा कोड किया जो मार्केट में था, बट वो डेटा डेटा ऑनलाइन मार्केट का डेटा था. एंड माई को फाउंडर सेड इट इन अ वे दैट इट फेल्ट लाइक कि हम एक डेटा को बहुत बड़ा करके दिखा रहे हैं. एंड इट वेंट अगेंस्ट अस इन द स्टार्टिंग ऑफ द पिच, बिकॉज डेटा आपको पता होना चाहिए आपका एग्जैक्ट क्या है, और कम्युनिकेट भी अच्छे से करना चाहिए. नाउ दैट वन मिस्टेक को मैं डिफेंड करने लग गया, एंड द होल पिच बिकेम अ फाइट बिटवीन मी एंड द शार्क्स. बट वो डेटा प्रॉब्लम था. हम लोगों को वो बेटर कम्युनिकेट करना आना चाहिए था, एंड वो मैं नेविगेट करके वहां से ले गया, बिकॉज आई हैव बीन अ पब्लिक स्पीकर ऑल माय लाइफ, और मेरे को आता है वो करना. बट बहुत लोग नहीं कर पाते, मेरे ही शायद को फाउंडर्स नहीं कर पाते, राइट? सो अपने को एट टाइम्स वी ऑल्सो हैव टू नो एग्जैक्टली कि हमारा नेविगेशन कैसे चलेगा, बट स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट गलत नहीं हो सकता. तो डेटा इज द बिगेस्ट पॉइंट. तुम एक सर्टन नंबर कर रहे हो, एक सर्टन ट्रैक्शन कर रहे हो, और एक सर्टन ट्रैक्शन प्रॉमिस कर रहे हो, सर्टन रनवे है, सर्टन यूनिट इकोनॉमिक्स है, ये सारा डेटा पॉइंट तो चाहिए ही चाहिए हर पिच में. तो कभी भी ये मत सोचना कि मैं इमोशन से डेटा को ओवर पावर कर दूंगा. मेरा एक दोस्त था, मैं नाम नहीं लूंगा, रन्स अ वेरी बिग कंपनी. मैं उसका सेल्स हेड करता था तब, नौकरी में था मैं, और बहुत बड़ी कंपनी है ये. और उसने एक दिन एंड दिस कंपनी इज बेस्ड आउट ऑफ पंजाब एंड ही इज अ सर्ड. और उसने एक दिन एक रैंडम डेटा बोल दिया, राइट? एंड बट ही हैड अमेजिंग सेल्स पीपल. और फिर उसको रियलाइज हुआ कि मैंने गलत डेटा बोल दिया, तो फिर वो केसरी मूवी का एक गाना गाने लग गया. बट द सेल्स वर्ड पीपल वर लाइक कि सर वो सब ठीक है, आपका डेटा गलत है. तो एट टाइम्स यू कैन नॉट विन ओवर विद इमोशंस, राइट? उसको लगा कि मैं, सारे सरदार लोग बैठे मेरे आसपास, मैं भी सरदारी हूं, आई विल टेक इट टू द इमोशन. नहीं हुआ वो सारों ने बोला कि भाई गलत है, आप डेटा पे वापस आओ, डेटा गलत है आपका. तो अगर डेटा सही नहीं है और डेटा हम लोग नहीं राइटली प्लेस कर रहे हैं, तो सारा इमोशन और सारा कनेक्टिविटी जो तुमने कंज्यूमर के साथ बनाया और जितनी स्टोरी बनाई है वो चली जाएगी. अगेन मैं प्रियाशा का एडवाइस का वो दूंगा एग्जांपल. आई यूज्ड टू डू माय पिच विद प्रियाशा प्रैक्टिस, राइट? वी यूज्ड टू प्रैक्टिस टुगेदर. भाई उस लड़की को एक एक यूनिट इकोनॉमिक्स जबान से रटा हुआ था यार. उसको मतलब एक एक नंबर उसका पूरा बैलेंस शीट का उसको रटा हुआ था, राइट? बिकॉज उसको हैंड्स ऑन एक्सपीरियंस था, और उसको अपना मार्केट ये सब का एक बहुत फेयर आइडिया था. तो आई थिंक योर स्टोरी विदाउट डेटा इज बेसलेस. उसका मेन इंग्रेडिएंट चला जाता है. एंड देन समटाइम्स पीपल से कि यार बहुत लोगों के लिए तो ये भी वर्क करता है कि वो कितना अच्छा बोलते हैं. I'll just give you one small example. A lot of Shark Tank pitches weren't able to do very well with very good products because उनका linguistic barrier था. हम नॉर्थ इंडियन सोचते हैं, वी नॉर्थ इंडियंस ऑलवेज थिंक दैट वी आर द सेंटर ऑफ द यूनिवर्स, राइट? इन द साउथ southern part of India, they think they are the center of the universe. But the truth is that if you're on a national television, you have to be so good in whatever language that they are broadcasting in that you have to create an impact. And sometimes the best products don't create an impact because they're not that good in terms of communication. So yes, communication is a big criteria. You have to know how to deliver. If I am here right now not delivering in the right method, and I'm not delivering value, will you stay for the session? No matter who I am, no matter who you guys are, or how big of a opportunity this session might be for either of us, it will only add value if I'm able to put the right words to the right thought in the right medium. So my suggestion here is, if you are not a Hindi bhashi or you don't speak in Hindi, practice your pitch so beautifully that you go out there and you kill it. And biggest example of this is Manas, my very dear friend. Kerala banana chips. Like a guy from Kerala goes on to Shark Tank, does the most quirky pitch with a lungi, and then fumbles and then says, "Sir, language problem hai na, isliye main, and the sharks acknowledge, and then everyone forgets about what he's talking about and starts focusing on the product, and he delivers wonderfully. That is also an example. So we cannot sit and victimize and say, no, we are not from the language. And not only language, a lot of cool, amazing developers who've developed amazing products are not able to showcase because they are not able to talk, and then they start blaming that, ये तो marketing वाले अच्छा बोलते हैं भाई, तुम्हारा अब तुम marketing वाले हो. If you are a entrepreneur, the life is a pitch and you are a salesperson, you are a marketing guy, so तुमको बोलना पड़ेगा. So communication, both the medium of the communication, no matter what the medium is, medium by medium, I mean here the linguistic medium, the language, whatever it is, जिस पे भी तुम जा रहे हो, you have to make sure that you are the best. नहीं आता, practice करके best हो जाओ. By a lot of Hindi movie actors do Telugu movies, Telugu movie actors do Hindi movies, they also excel, no bhai. Then only we understand. अगर वो नहीं करेंगे तो we understand that they're not doing their job well. So this, and the other part is that once you guys have a very clear example, or you know a very clear objective built, make sure that your emotion and your data and everything is on point as well. Because no matter if you're pitching to an investor in a room or you're pitching on Shark Tank, these things will show and will matter. I don't care if I'm pitching one on one with one investor, or I'm doing, I am as excited as I am right now. I am as, my voice modulation, my tonalities as uh, you know on point as I am right now, because I want to communicate what I want them to understand about my brand without missing out on a single opportunity. I cannot let them assume. I cannot let them think of me in a certain way. I want to tell them what they want to hear, what is the right objective of my brand. So these are the few things that you have to make sure when it comes to storytelling. Also, uh, apart from setting the objective and then just focusing on bits and pieces in isolation, it has to be holistic. So this is the second part. Now I'll go to the final, which is the conclusion. But before that, again, I would like you to shoot questions. I know there is a lag. I just got told by the team that there's a 10-15 second lag. But please shoot a question. I'm here to answer, and then we can move ahead. How to build a story that resonates with a mass Indian audience? Are there any behaviors specific to Indian masses that we should keep in mind? See, as I'm saying, Cheryl, it all depends on what your product is. If your product is a Lux, you talk like a Lux. If your product is a Dove, you talk like a Dove. But there are, yes, certain things that you can keep in mind. As I said, there is emotion which connects to everyone, no matter who that person is, right? There is outcome which everyone can think, everyone can know. I tell a lot of SaaS companies who come with pitches that I will streamline XYZ for large enterprises. I said never do that. Always tell them the outcome which will help their revenue the most, because everyone cares about money. There is no person in the world that does not care about money as an outcome. So if you hit the right outcome, no matter what kind of audience you're pitching to, be it a Lala company who's as big as a sorry guys, so be it a Lala company who's as big as a DS group, or be it a PNG which is a corporate, if your objective is money, I will make you make more money. It will help you crack, because everyone connects with that. So if you're building for the mass Indian audiences, or if you're building for even for a niche, your one outcome which can be measured by everyone, if it's very on point, I think you will be able to deliver. People sometimes might miss. For example, if you're making a very niche product, and because Shark Tank is a massy platform, there can be times when you will miss when you throw or project a certain emotion on screen. But if you are projecting a outcome, if you're projecting an outcome, you will always hit, because जिसको वो expectation है वो connect कर जाएगा. Sahitya Maram, how can a supplement brand into preventing healthcare can communicate their story at best? By I am a supplement brand. Okay. So I am a supplement brand that is into preventive healthcare, and I'm trying to communicate my story. Uh, my only 2.2 hard points here is honesty and transparency. A lot of times when people go to investors, they ask me, sir, should we tell them our challenges? All my pitch decks start with the challenges, because if there are no challenges, then I am not in requirement of that much capital. Then why have I come to pitch? Because the money I require is to overcome those challenges, be it the challenge of hiring a technical person, which I'm not, let's say, or be it the challenge of hiring a team which I don't have for to achieve a certain. But there is a challenge, and if I can communicate the challenge and also my method of battling that challenge, I instill more trust than outrightly saying that I don't have a challenge. Most of the healthcare companies do not want to accept the limitations of their supplements. If I say eat my Shilajit, I will have to tell you that Shilajit is not for all body types. You might want to assess your body type, with for which I have a test on my platform, and then have that product. Or you might talk to your physician and then have my product. But if you want to eat an ashwagandha, all body types have shown to be adaptive to ashwagandha and have felt some sort of a benefit in prolonged usage. If I say this, people might not buy Shilajit if they are finicky, or if they think they have a problem or might have a problem. But because I said that you should not buy a Shilajit, they will buy an ashwagandha, because I instilled the trust of being honest and I was transparent with that guy. So your challenge has to be your USP. Your challenge has to be uh, you know your zero friction area if you want to do best in a supplement market. Because till it's not zero friction, it will be a hard sell and people will see through you. A preventive care brand cannot market like a pharmaceutical brand, because they have the backing of a doctor. You guys don't. We guys don't. So we will have to address our challenges ourselves, and also tell them the alternatives ourselves, and also tell them the way out ourselves, because we are the only flag bearers of what we sell or what we do. I didn't have clinical trials while when I went to Shark Tank, and I fought with them because my consumer trial showed that I had 83% of efficacy. But in the world of medical, although pharmaceutical also does not have very hard, stringent clinical trials for a lot of things that they do. They come out with something called they come out with a vaccine, and then they after 2 years say, I'm so sorry, you might get clots because there was something wrong with the vaccine, and by the time they've already given that to a billion people. But then they have the leverage of doing that, because that particular lobby is very strong, that particular lobby is well established, people have a very, that the trust index is pretty high. But if your trust index is not that high, you cannot expect to behave like that and compare to them and say वो तो ऐसे करते हैं हम नहीं कर पाते. They have doctors endorsing them. For you, you don't. Your influencer can endorse you, but honestly, when people are buying a supplement, they don't care. So you can just tell them about your processes, your sourcing, how clean you are, how transparent you are, how structured you are. And for a lot of companies, not only supplement companies, this can be your story. Your story can start with you being the underdog, and then you becoming, everyone wants to see a Shah Rukh Khan. You can become the Shah Rukh Khan of your brand. You can say that, okay, Zoho started selling by telling people that, SAP has this. Uh, Other CRMs have this. We are a small company, but we are good with this, and whatever we promise, we will deliver. And they cracked the. I think one of the biggest electrical companies, GE, right? वो account के बाद Zoho changed. So sometimes your underdog story is more than enough. So there are, again, as a founder, you will have to first find the conviction, is what I'm saying again and again, right? Ranjit, is it possible to be lost in money maximization cost function rather building like a platform? I'm sorry, boss, I didn't understand the context of the question. Is this related to or pertaining to storytelling or something else? Okay, so I have just 5 minutes left with me. Uh, I am just going to wind this up by summarizing whatever I've said, and then giving you the last, uh, that one. There is no silver bullet, but at least that one thing that anyone can do when it comes to storytelling. But before that, be very clear of the objective. Follow the ABCD rule, which is the attention, brand, conviction, and direction. Then also make sure that your objective, or whatever your core intent of the company is very clear, precise, to the consumer. And while building it, always think like the consumer and not like the founder. Never play to the audience, always play to your customer. Talk in a language that your customer understands, and everyone will understand, because a VC is also a consumer. At the end of the day, we are all consumers. There's only one thing that we all are, and that is we are consumers. We consume throughout the day. We've never thought in a way, but in this way. But BC and you might be consuming a lot of products that are the same, and you both might have a lot of characteristics that are same for a lot of brands. And there is a certain brand that has cracked both the investor and the pitcher. But we always think that we will give a story to him which is playing to him, but he understands that because he is also as smart as you, right? He's also using the same brands as you are. He's also a part of the same system. So always make sure that you play to the customer, and listen to the customer, and fine tune your pitch in that sense. Then always make sure that your story, the pivot of your story, is someone whom people can connect with the most. The pivot of the story is not, something which you think is important. It's always something which has that zero friction rule that no one will miss out on. So if it's outcome, it's outcome. If it's anything, it has to be something which everyone can connect with, or most of the people can connect with, right? And it's difficult to get to that point, but with iterative enhancement you get there. And the last is, always your story has to have truth and authenticity. It has to have the right data points, because without data, any story is just a story. And yeah, so coming down to the one thing that I always tell all my founders is, and yeah, one before that, one more thing that I was missing out on, the medium, the language. Always be prepared for the platform on which you're pitching. If you're pitching on an Indian show, make sure that if your language is not an issue, you play around that, or you practice it to a point that it does not become an issue, right? So yeah. Now the one thing that I always tell all the founders that are uh, building from zero to one, right? Which is one of the, I think, the most difficult journeys, because if you cross that, the product teaches you on how to go from 1 to 100 if you've achieved the product market fit. And if you've achieved the product market fit, only then you can say that you've crossed 0 to 1. By the way, it's not again for you to say that I've crossed. It's the product market fit that says, is that the way you do anything is the way you do everything, right? So always make sure that the way you build your product is exactly the way you have to build your story. The way you build your story is exactly the way you have to deliver it. And the way you deliver it is exactly the way, you execute it when the customer buys from you. So uh, we have to be 100% consistent in the process of storytelling, story building, story writing, as consistent as we were when we were building that particular product or startup of which we are making the story of. So always make sure that the way you do anything is the way you do everything. You have to be very, very stringent, very to the point. Like, there are founders who are very frugal, and they build amazing companies without cash, but are not able to make good campaigns because they think it's not their forte. I think it's their forte. It's just that they have to unlock it. You might use tools, other people, agencies for that, but your startup best because you've built it. And the way you've built it, if the same way you start with because when you were building it you didn't know all of it also, you might know some part of it. किसी एक चीज के ही तो सब्जेक्ट मैटर एक्सपर्ट हो गए तो शुरू किया होगा। फिनटेक बना रहे हो, प्रॉब्ली टेक आता होगा या फाइनेंस आता होगा, बट बाद में जिसको टेक आता है उसने फाइनेंस सीखा, फाइनेंस आता है उसने टेक सीखा, राइट? तो फिनटेक की स्टोरी बनाते वक्त भी उतनी ही स्ट्रिंजेंटली अगर काम करा, उतने ही कंसिस्टेंटली अगर काम किया, तो वो स्टोरी भी बन जाएगी। सो नेवर गेट इन दैट माइंडसेट दैट वो तो मार्केटिंग वाला है, वो कर लेगा, वो तो पब्लिक स्पीकर है, अरे इसको इसके लिए तो बोलना बहुत आसान है। ब्रो, इट्स द सेम फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस। सो दैट्स pretty much it. So